Lately, I've seen a few aspects of the gaming conversation that is wanting to devolve into, personality wars. There's, this talking head saying that talking head said this and this talking head said that and all of the above. And honestly, guys, I think this is a distraction because, to be very honest, we're here for the truth about the gaming industry. And I think what's going to really resolve a lot of this in terms of this is that if anybody is going out there to talk about video games and point out what the gaming industry is seeing, they kind of need a starter pack. And the starter pack is going to include what I think are a few data sets that help to put in light what these gaming companies, PlayStation or Xbox, are doing at the moment. The first item that should be in the starter pack should be Matt Piscatella's weekly engagement tracker from Circana. I wish Matt Piscatella would actually post up to the top 30, but I think the reason he posts the 15 is because the top 10 usually suck almost 40%, if not more, of the gaming time that you see out here. So, in honesty, we don't need all 30 if that was a thing. We actually just need the top 10, and the other 5 are just gratis at the end of the day. So, in order for someone like Reforge not to be complaining that Astro Cyborg clipped him out of context or that Oh No Is Alex said something about him, blah, 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 he can simply just use data pieces like this to be able to form a good perspective of his arguments. And I think it will give everybody a standard to be able to point at and look at. Another thing that makes this engagement tracker a lot more valid, in my opinion, is the fact that Matt Piscatella also came out and mentioned that most other games are fighting for about 16% of a player base because the number of gamers that are buying multiple games and even buying new games once every 6 months is a very small number. This defeats a lot of the nonsense fanboyish nastiness that can edge its way into serious conversation like, oh, we buy more games, you don't buy more games, or the game sales were so low. Okay, we get it. Game sales are low, but if you followed the data initially, you'd know why game sales are low without having to basically back yourself into a corner. And then people are asking you, but how about Astrobot? Why didn't it sell well? And then you're fighting and, punching air at everybody because, the data is basically now, sitting in your face and you want to call people fanboys and blah, blah, blah. It just devolves into a whole bunch of, in my opinion, pedantic nonsense. So data sets like these would more than likely help shape the conversation. The other data set that I think needs to be acknowledged is the saturation of games in the gaming market right now. Anyone who has been talking about video games in the last few years or months probably have not been seeing this coming. Now, this is the one data piece that has pretty much, in my opinion, guided a lot of my analysis on this channel. And I think it'll be helpful to remove a lot of the distractions where we can cut through the BS and see that right now the gaming industry is saturated. There are games everywhere. If your game is staying on your platform, you're being financially irresponsible. In fact, this particular document here is a SteamDB map of the games that have released in the last few years since this data has been collected. It goes to show that things that Shuhei Yoshida, the executive who said that these so-called remasters are there to sell more copies, PC ports are there to print more money, and even former executive Sean Layden who said if your game is exclusive, it's its Achilles heel because you reduce your addressable market, and the reason you're reducing your addressable market to maybe fulfill some kind of goal may also come back and bite you in the butt. And even the folk at Xbox saying that, this is not the time for people to hold games back from anybody because you're trying to move them to your platform. You want to take games where gamers are. And the saturation piece helps you see what's going on, not a console war framework of, oh, well, it's because Xbox is dead. It's because they lost the console war. It's because they're not selling consoles. That's not going to help you. Why? Because even PlayStation selling a bunch of consoles is not pushing as much product out there. And there's a reason. There's actually a valid reason PlayStation and its games are not selling as much. It's simply because of data set number 1, more players are playing these games, and reality number 2, there are just many options out there for gamers to play that they can skip over a PlayStation game and not feel like they're missing anything. The final piece is understanding the grand scheme of these two companies and how they relate their market and business to PC. Xbox jumps in day one and PlayStation comes in later down the road with some games. What's happened is both of them jumping in day one have seen some measure of success. Xbox longer than PlayStation because they've been doing this and putting their games on PC for a long time. This should say and signal that reality number two, which is their saturation of games, is pushing them to go seek gamers on other fronts and other storefronts. I think anybody who makes their case and their argument of what's going on in the gaming industry just with these three pieces in terms of what the data shown and the evidence will basically be able to come to sound conclusions and not be fighting all over the internet, punching air and making random videos about other, people who said this and they said that and they called me out and told me that my content, just look at the data. That's all you got to do. You don't have to do anything unique. You don't have to do anything, special or whatever it is. And the data set will guide your conversations. It will really put your content, in my opinion anyways, on a whole different level. And, to be very honest, people are going to have what I think is better consumer information to make the moves that that they wish to make. For instance, when I saw Reforge say something about, well, it's time for you to, pack up your Xbox. If you're on Xbox, you need to go sell it. Based on what? He came up and spewed a bunch of numbers. He basically disrupted what I think was his own argument by putting out Game Pass numbers. And, after putting out the Game Pass numbers, he went ahead and then out of nowhere took the liberty to slash those Game Pass numbers in half. And when he did all that in real time, I said to myself, what is this dude doing? He was on the money, right? But he let the fanboy, thing, software that's been installed somewhere, I don't know where it is, it crept into the whole conversation and that ruined things. If you stick with what the data says, in my own opinion, I strongly believe that you would be able to, in a sense, go ahead and figure out where the gaming industry is going. You see, right now, ladies and gentlemen, new data sets are coming out. Right now, here is the subscriber count of leading cloud gaming and gaming subscription service worldwide as of March 2023. They want me to get full access for this, but I just kind of saw it. PlayStation Plus is leading and Game Pass is right behind it. If Game Pass were to ever catch up to PlayStation Plus, even more than necessary, leaked data that we saw in 2023, which I'm not even saying put in your starter pack, right? I'm not saying go ahead and do that. But that leaked data is going to be a lot more relevant in some of its points. But you have to start from what the gaming industry is seeing and transforming into over time to be able to get and make sound conclusions. Comment section. Talk to me. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.